Buenos días, señoras y señores. Soy Patrick Jacobs, su director del programa esta mañana. Antes de empezar, les informo que contamos con traducción simultánea. La señora Carmen Jurión de Mundo Chile les explicará cómo activar la función. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning from Santiago, those that are joining us from South Africa as well as around the world. My name is Patrick Jacobs. I'm your program director for this morning. Before we start, just to inform you that we have simultaneous translation available, and I will ask Ms. Carmen Girion of Mundo Chile to explain how to activate that function. Carmen, over to you.
Okay. Sorry. Good morning. For this meeting, you will have simultaneous interpretation available. At the bottom of the screen, you will find in the toolbar an icon that has the shape of a world. You have to click on it and then select the English option. This way, you will make sure that you will have simultaneous interpretation available for all the messages that are sent in Spanish will be translated into English. Buenos días. Muchas gracias por estar aquí hoy día. Esta reunión contará con interpretación simultánea. Para tener el servicio de traducción es necesario ir a la barra de herramientas que está en el programa de Zoom abajo, hacer clic en el icono del globo terráqueo, seleccionar la opción español y permanecer ahí durante toda la reunión. De esta manera podrán tener traducción de todos los mensajes que se entreguen en inglés traducidos al español. Muchas gracias. Patrick?
Thank you, Ms. Girion. Distinguished guests, friends of South Africa, fellow South Africans, ladies and gentlemen, once again, warm South African greetings to all of you, those that have joined us in Chile, as well as those in South Africa and around the world. Thank you for joining us to celebrate South Africa's national day called Freedom Day, under the theme, The Year of Charlotte Maxeke, Promoting Human Rights in the Age of COVID-19. Who was Charlotte Maxeke? She was a South African religious leader, social and political activist. As she is also referred to as the mother of Black freedom in South Africa. It is 27 years ago when South Africa in 1994 became a united, non-racial, and non-sexist democracy, and the country was welcomed back into the community of nations. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now officially start the program with the playing of the national anthems of both South Africa and Chile.
Africa, malupawanisu pondorayo, izwahimitana soyetu, osi sigelela china, lusapolwayo, ulela buluka sechama sa Yesu. Usibuluke, sichabasa, Jesus, sichabasa, South Africa, South Africa. Sunshine.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my singular honor to call upon the South African Ambassador to Chile, His Excellency Mr. George Munya Mangeni, to address us. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Good morning, buenos dias, Tobela, Dumelang, and good afternoon to those who are joining us from other places such as home, South Africa, and the rest of the world. I wish to acknowledge and thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Chile, the Honorable Mr. Andres Alamand, who will provide a keynote message for us shortly. I also wish to acknowledge the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Carolina Valdivia, who has joined us. A very warm welcome indeed that you could be with us on this day. I also wish to thank the team that has joined us from Foreign Affairs, led by Ambassador Pia Buster and her team. Thank you so much for joining us. Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, let me also acknowledge Mr. Alejandro Palma, the President of the Chile-South Africa Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Tourism. With us today, we also have Mr. Jim Clark from Wines of South Africa, from Woza. Honored and distinguished guests, fellow compatriots and friends of South Africa. We are gathered on this virtual platform at this moment to celebrate the 27th birthday of South Africa's democracy. This is the anniversary of South Africa's first truly democratic election that took place on the 27th of April in 1994. It is therefore a great privilege and pleasure to jointly celebrate this auspicious occasion, 27 years of our nascent, maturing and vibrant democracy under the theme, the year of Charlotte Maxeke, the meaning of freedom under COVID-19. This year has been designated the year of Charlotte Maxeke, as we have also celebrated human rights in the past month. 2021 marks the 150th anniversary of struggle icon and human rights campaigner Charlotte Maxeke, a great leader who with other selfless women and heroines were at the forefront of fighting for the many freedoms that we enjoy today. Today provides us with a kind reminder of our humble beginnings and our gallant efforts to unite the nation, to promote and deepen democracy, and to protect our freedom. We pay tribute to those who sacrificed their lives for the emancipation of our people, and those who champion and celebrate the history of our people and the values which they stand for. This day reaffirms our freedom and ensures that the violation of such rights never occurs again. This month reminds us of the sacrifices made in the struggle for freedom and democracy. And it provides us an express opportunity to honor our heroes and heroines in the fight for liberation. We do so under the stewardship of our President, His Excellency, Mr. Matamela Ramaphosa, who has stated that our heroes and heroines, and I quote, watered the tree of liberty so we could enjoy its fruits and stand under its shade today. Let us also take consideration of the fact that the commemoration of Freedom Day takes place in the backdrop of a difficult period, a manifestation of the coronavirus pandemic. The pandemic has tested and tempered us, but we have, in the process, also become more resourceful and resilient. The concert of nations has demonstrated immense resilience and courage in fighting the pandemic, bringing with it hope and the promise of a prosperous tomorrow. We have been compelled to repurpose our activities and reimagine the future, including the way we conduct our daily business. Although the challenges on the road ahead will be difficult, Through international partnerships and solidarity, each step will inspire the next, and we will overcome this challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, the year 2021 also presents a significant landmark in the creation of our constitutional democracy in South Africa. It marks various important milestones in our nascent democracy, including the commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution into law. The commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the Constitution will extend beyond this year into 2022, as the Constitution's legal entry into force will be marked on the 4th of February 2022. The democratic constitution that we have today, in its preamble, declares South Africa belongs to all who live in it, united in our diversity. It further affirms the democratic values of human dignity, equality, and freedom. It encapsulates and resonates with the dreams and inspiration of our forebears to work harder to build a strong society premised on the ideals and principles espoused by our Constitution. In that respect, I also wish to use this opportunity to wish success to Chile in the forthcoming elections for members of the Constitutional Assembly and in the myriad elections that have been scheduled for this year in 2021. Distinguished guests, the global order is undergoing rapid changes, and we stand before great challenges which will need to be overcome through international partnerships, far-reaching economic development, and improved prosperity. This is happening in an era whereby the African continent has proactively seized an opportunity to determine and shape its own destiny and position in the global economic development. In that context, Africa's vast possibility and potential stands out as a positive beacon for the future, the next global growth point. Amongst other global formations and configurations, we also recognize that South-South cooperation and relations are critical and pivotal in all domains. In this specific case, the continents of Africa and South America have a key role to play as we shape the developmental path ahead. South Africa and Chile provide solid platforms in engendering and consolidating this partnership and pertinent relationship. South Africa enjoys a very strong bilateral relationship with Chile, predicated on strong shared values and desires, and a commitment to democracy and respect for human rights. These are fundamental and foundational blocks as we strive towards a better life for all. Chile is an important partner to us in varied spheres, spanning issues of common interest, both in the bilateral and multilateral spheres. Indicative of this is our cooperation on Antarctica and climate change issues, which is emblematic of this sound relationship. This is continually strengthened through people-to-people and knowledge exchanges, and bilateral tools, instruments, and mechanisms. As we speak at this stage, our teams are preparing very hard to ensure that we will hold our joint consultative mechanism in the near future, which on the Chilean side will be led by the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Carolina Valdivia, and our own Deputy Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Mr. Alvin Boertes, on the South African side. Thus, we continue to see deepening relations, even in terms of trade, investment, tourism, technical cooperation, and development. This has manifested in growing two-way trade and investments over the years. South African businesses have invested in Chile, thus creating valuable linkages and value chains. And the same has applied of Chilean companies that have invested in South Africa. We continue to see a growth. We continue to see more and more Chilean companies investing in South Africa. Such a strong partnership supplemented by requisite economic relations, is pivotal. South Africa is a great place to invest. And with all things considered and on balance, we're very attractive as an investment destination. The latter is really at the core of our value proposition. And we are committed to taking these relations to greater heights as we continue to engage with individual and organized business formation. The message that we want to communicate is that we are open for business. Our wish to see more Chilean companies taking advantage of the opportunities offered by our economy would be realized with more engagement and with strong bilateral relations. And we are very happy that even those who have joined us today, the business community, should take note of this important fact. As we celebrate our 27th Freedom Day, we also recognize that the father of our nation, former President Nelson Mandela, also spent 20 years in prison during the struggle and fight for our liberation. And in that respect, his legacy will remain an inspiration for future generations, encapsulated in the spirit of forgiveness and humanity, humility and leadership. And it will live on in our commitment to ensure just and a fair society for all. Let us remember that through his wisdom, our beloved Madiba also mentioned that it always seems impossible until it is done. And we believe that as we continue to work hard, we can really better the lives of our people. Distinguished guests, let me also at this point posit that our gratitude to the mutually beneficial partnership with Chile we share is profound. Chile remains a key partner for South Africa, and I must reaffirm the strong and strategic relations that exist between our two countries. It is rooted in our shared history. And as African wisdom aptly teaches us, those who run alone run fast, but those who run together run far. That a single bracelet does not jingle. South Africa today is a vigorous and strong young democracy, not because of some alignment of the stars, but because of the strength and vigor of South Africa's Democrats and the support and encouragement of our friends around the world, not least those who are with us at this moment. With those words, I would like to say to all, Happy Freedom Day, and let's please take care of ourselves and our loved ones. I thank you. Back to you, Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you, Excellency, for your remarks and for outlining the progress made by South Africa over the last 27 years and an insight into the state of bilateral relations between South Africa and Chile. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also an honor and a sincere privilege for me to introduce to you the Honorable Mr. Andrés Alamand, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Chile. The Honorable Minister unfortunately could not join us this morning, but has nevertheless sent us a video recording of his message.
On behalf of the people and the government of Chile, I have the honor to convey a message to South Africa on its National Day. Freedom Day commemorates the occasion when millions of South Africans exercise their right as equal citizens to cast their vote, many of them for the very first time. As a result, Nelson Mandela was elected president, further rising as an inspiring leader who embodies, up to this day, the relentless fight for the sake of human dignity, democracy, and freedom. Such a historic accomplishment marks the high point of a long period of resistance against colonialism, racism, and mass violations of human rights. This year, South Africa and Chile celebrate the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. Both countries have moved towards the establishment of a full-fledged democratic society, peace-loving and respectful of international law. Thanks to their common openness to the world, both countries have strongly projected their commitment to multilateral order, international security, and human rights, becoming truly like-minded nations. South Africa and Chile hold many converging bilateral interests in areas as science and technology, social development, and education. As for cooperation, Chile implemented the Nelson Mandela Scholarship Program, dedicated to South African and other African students to pursue postgraduate studies in Chilean universities on topics such as political studies and public administration. We also equally recognize in multilateral order the best way to reach responses to address new global challenges. I am certain that our strong bilateral relation will continue to grow even closer in the years to come. Thank you very much.
Our sincere gratitude goes to Minister Allemond, who we consider to be a very good friend of South Africa and of Africa, for his remarks and reminding us of the close relations between our two countries. Ladies and gentlemen, despite the economic, social, and health impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on countries and the global community, countries like South Africa and Chile continue to inform, update, and attract international investors and businesses. In the following few videos, we would like to share with you the many opportunities available to investors and businesses, and to remind you that South Africa is open for business.
Wouldn't you like to explore a country where two worlds intersect, where first world infrastructure meets an emerging market, where diversity is celebrated through its people and its sectors, where one of the most powerful economies in Africa embraces new opportunities, where science and technology enjoy rapid advancement, a land where innovation creates a dynamic environment for growth. The world's leader in mining and minerals, with nearly 90% of all the platinum metals on Earth and around 41% of all the world's gold. Home to 11 Nobel Peace Prize winners. And with the most UNESCO World Heritage Sites in Africa. It is one of only 2 countries in the world to have hosted 3 different World Cups, where a market of almost 60 million people provide you with the perfect springboard to access a continent of 1.3 billion people. It's where the impossible is made possible. Welcome to South Africa, a land of endless possibilities. A truly inspiring country. Welcome to the future. Invest in South Africa. Powered by Brand South Africa.
Ten reasons why you should invest in South Africa. Number 1, hot emerging market. Number 2, the number 1 diversified economy in Africa. Number 3, the largest presence of multinationals on the African continent. Number 4, progressive constitution and independent judiciary. Number 5, favorable market access to global markets. Number 6, abundant natural resources. Number 7, advanced financial services and banking sector. Number 8, world-class infrastructure and logistics. Number 9, young, trainable labor force. And number 10, excellent quality of life.
Since 2018, the South Africa Investment Conference has attracted local and international participants to South Africa to explore our attractive investment opportunities. Over 650 billion rand of investment commitments were made at these conferences, building onto the existing investment projects that have already been implemented. The focus at this year's conference will be on economic recovery and investment in a post-COVID environment. South Africa, inspiring new ways.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to call upon the President of the Chile-South Africa Chamber of Industries, Commerce and Tourism, Mr. Alejandro Palma, to say a few words. Mr. Palma, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Good morning, Mr. Ambassador. Good morning, Minister present as well, and everyone here. It's a big honor to me to be with you celebrating the Freedom Days. I see many of the words that has been said by Mr. Ambassador and Mr. Alaman as well, demonstrate that the tightened lasos between the countries and also the challenge that we as country are facing now. We have to learn from each other. We have to remind the leadership of Mandela and many other great people that has been dealing with big challenge and problem in the time being. And I think right now it is time to call and remember those leaders that they could lead us to overcome all the problem and trouble that we have facing now. Real leaders must be ready to sacrifice all for the freedom of their people, Mandela says. And I think it's a word that we have to keep in mind, and together we have to work hard to commit ourselves to deal with the big challenge that the countries around the world face. We in Chile are proud to be friends from our South African college. We as Chamber, we are promoting business and commitment to make our countries grow. It's an honor to me to be here and see the tremendous effort from the ambassador in promoting relationships. I think it's a big pleasure for me to say that, and thank you to you for that commitment. We at Chamber, we are always open to look for business, for opportunity to grow the countries, to see that the efforts done by people go to the people, you know. And I think that's something that we have to strengthen now, despite the time that we are living. We have great opportunity. I think for both sides, our countries, they have the resources, the people, and the location that provide supply for the world in mining, agriculture, fishery, and many other goods. So I think we have to continue to learn from each other and work together as we are doing. And I think there are endless opportunities, as you also say in your video. Please see at our chamber as the port and for growth opportunity between the countries, and see us please as friend, as we are being committed with the growth for the opportunities in business and friendship. Culturally, we have too many similarities. It's amazing the good and quickly way that we are in the relationship that we have. So let's explore more business opportunity between the countries, and I think we are faced in that way the big challenge that we have to overcome. So our best warm regards to all the South Africans, and as Chilean as well, we keep in our mind this special day. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed, Mr. Palmer, for your remarks. It's much appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, another sector that has been negatively affected by COVID-19 is the tourism sector, due particularly to the ban on international travel. South Africa however, continues to promote her tourist attractions as well as working tirelessly to be ready to welcome back international tourists to the country. In the following few videos, we try to remind you of the sights and sounds of South Africa, and very importantly, to remind you that we cannot wait to welcome you to South Africa in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2019, former Miss Chile, Miss Camila Recabarren, visited South Africa. We've asked Miss Recabarren to share her experiences with us about the visit. She has kindly provided us with a video that we would like to share with you.
Los invito a viajar conmigo y a conocer nuevos destinos, destinos inexplorados. Hoy viviremos un día de un turismo social. Así es, conoceremos historia, conoceremos las emociones de la gente. Aquí me encuentro en las Torres de Orlando, quienes se encargaban de producir energía a Johannesburgo, pero no hacia el Soweto. Vamos a conocer de qué se trata todo esto. Nos encontramos en otro de los lugares icónicos, históricos del Soweto. Nos encontramos en el memorial de Héctor Peterson. Él es un chico de 12 años que fue asesinado por la policía en plena protesta. Después de recorrer las calles del Soweto con tantas historias de por medio, llegamos acá al lugar ícono, a la casa de Nelson Mandela, el cual vamos a conocer hoy. El recorrido en la casa de Nelson Mandela, hay mucha emoción adentro, hay muchos turistas queriendo entrar y se los recomiendo. Si ustedes están acá en Sudáfrica, tienen que venir a Soweto y a conocer la casa de Mandela. Mientras recorríamos las calles del Soweto, nos dijeron que no nos podíamos perder de visitar el mercado más popular, ubicado aquí, en el Clip Town, donde dio inicio en 1955 al capítulo de la libertad liderado por Nelson Mandela. Pero hoy es uno de los mercados lleno de colores, lleno de olores, de aromas increíbles. Vamos a visitarlo, acompáñenme.
We will proceed with our program. It is now my singular honor to introduce Mr. Jim Clark, who will do a live wine tasting of selected South African wines. Mr. Clark has written about wine for more than 12 years in the New York Times, San Francisco Chronicle, and the World of Fine Wine. He specializes in the wines of South Africa, and for the past 5 years has been the US marketing manager for wines of South Africa. One of his most recent publications is the book Wines of South Africa, published in 2020. I have the pleasure to hand over to Mr. Clark.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jacobs. And thank you, Ambassador, for having me today to celebrate Freedom Day. I think if you're going to be celebrating, obviously wine should be part of that. And in the context of South African wine, that would be Cap Classique, which is the fastest growing category in South Africa. It is in fact wine made with the same methods and traditions and processes as champagne, but from the distinct and quality-driven soils of South Africa. When we look at South Africa as a wine-producing country, they are the 10th largest producer, right up there among the top 10 with Chile. But to give you a little bit of context, there are 92,000 hectares of vines in South Africa, and that's about half, actually less than half, what there is in Chile. So A large producer, not as large as Chile, but larger than some other important players on the market. For example, Austria, which is known for its white wines, for example, is about half the size of South Africa. South Africa has a deep tradition of winemaking. We have just finished up our 362nd harvest. We actually know the birthday of South African wine because when the Dutch arrived in 1652, the first commander of the Cape Colony, a man named Jan van Riebeeck, believed that the conditions were right for growing wine. So he asked for cuttings. Those arrived a few years later. And in his journal on February 2nd, 1659, he wrote, "Today, praise be to God, wine was made for the first time from Cape grapes." So this is the birthday of South African wine. The original purpose of the wine growing in South Africa was rather modest. It was simply meant to help resupply ships that were passing past the Cape on their way to the Far East and then back to Amsterdam as part of the Dutch East India Company's activities. But by the middle of the next century, by the 1750s, a wine named Constantia, which comes from an area actually now almost a suburb of Cape Town, was the talk of Europe. It was coveted by emperors, it was coveted by kings. Jane Austen wrote about it. The French poet Balzac wrote about it. We know that Napoleon, in the last 6 years of his life, actually bought up a third of the production of Constantia to enjoy while he was in exile in Santa Elena. So it truly was one of the great wines of the world as early as the 1750s. Now, much of that during the 20th century was absent from the rest of the world as little of the wine was exported. Much of it that was exported only went to the UK. But with the release of Nelson Mandela in 1990, the fall of the embargoes that faced South African products, South African wines exploded onto the world. And in the past 25 years or even 30 years, we have seen tremendous growth all around the world. One of the things that's exciting about South African wine is you'll see that it represents a huge amount of diversity, which I think also reflects the South African people. The Western Cape, this is the area around Cape Town, is the home to South Africa's wine industry. It enjoys a climate that is generally termed Mediterranean, very different from the rest of South Africa, and in fact, the rest of the African continent as a whole until you reach the actual Mediterranean Sea in the north. This is a climate where you enjoy warm and dry summers and springs. This is perfect for grape growing, less disease pressure because there's not much water. But there are cool, wet winters, and as long as the soils can soak up that water, then the vines have what they need to thrive and survive. At the same time, the wind, the famous Cape Doctor that sweeps from the southeast across the Cape, ensures that molds and mildews and the like have little chance to settle on the grapes. So again, disease pressures are low and vineyards can survive and thrive with actually very little use of chemicals and pesticides and things like that. The winds also cool the vineyards. So while it can be quite warm and quite sunny, which ripens the grapes, at the same time, the wind moderates that and makes even ripening for creating well-balanced and interesting wines. When you look at the Cape, and you've seen some of the pictures in the tourist videos, the mountains are a defining feature. These were thrown up about 250 million years ago, and the soils have been eroding ever since. And these are the oldest viticultural soils in the world. Some of them date back much longer than that. The shales in the area actually go back to 900 million years, and granite, one of the other major soils of wine growing in South Africa, dating back 500 or even 630 million years. So terrific soils for wine growing that hold that water that I talked about, this wonderful wind which cools and keeps the vineyards fresh and clean, and at the same time the ocean surrounding it also having a cooling effect. This is something that Chile will be familiar with. You have this current running up the coast that brings an upwelling of cold water and water from Antarctica, keeping the vines fresh, sunshine but not too much heat. It's really ideal for wine growing. At the same time, those mountains carve up the different exposures, so you can have vineyards facing in many different directions, some directly into the sun, some directly into the setting sun, some facing south away from the sun. And this means you can grow a wide variety of different grapes. And again, that allows for the diversity of wine expression we see in the country. For Chilean wine drinkers, many of the varieties grown in South Africa will be familiar. They are the famous international varieties. The most planted red grape in South Africa, for example, is Cabernet Sauvignon. Following that very closely is Shiraz. On the white side, Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay are both in the top 4 of the white plantings. But we do have some unique varieties as well. First among these is probably Chenin Blanc. South Africa is home to more Chenin Blanc than the rest of the world combined. And while it originally heralds from a cool area in France, the Loire Valley, in South Africa, it's grown in its warmer varieties, which allows it to retain the freshness that the grape is known for, but at the same time have this wonderful body and roundness and texture and mouthfeel that can be really pleasing to people who drink all sorts of different wines, whether they like the roundness of Chardonnay, the aromatic generosity of a Sauvignon Blanc, or the freshness of a grape like Pinot Grigio. Oftentimes a South African Chenin Blanc will fall in the middle of these 3. And for this reason, this is really becoming the flag bearer variety of the country. We also have a grape that is uniquely South African. This is Pinotage. And it was developed in South Africa in 1925 by crossing the famous Burgundian grape Pinot Noir with a lesser known workhorse grape called Cinsault, which in South Africa was known as Hermitage at the time. So Pinot Noir combined with Hermitage became Pinotage. And this has, I won't say it's the flagship because it's only 7% of South Africa's plantings, but has been a unique expression of South African wine, and one that really offers a lot of different characters. You can make it as a lighter, fresher wine, you can make it as a deeply extracted wine, but it all depends on what vineyard you grow it. So it really can, again, express different parts of South Africa and show off the different styles of the country. Finally, the wine industry there is so innovative that to keep up with the other varieties that I can tell you about would take so much time. Cinsault, formerly a workhorse grape, is being rediscovered for its quality for making light, fresh reds. Grapes like Viognier, which normally don't find much a home, are finding a place in Paarl. So there's so much to explore for someone who comes to South African wines. And I think in this way, some of these varieties are also becoming known in Chile. I know Cinsault, for example, has some huge advocates there. What's exciting about the South African wine industry is that innovation. It is that diversity. And I think it has so much to offer in terms of whether it be individual small estates, the kind of artisanal growers, and also larger companies who can do a lot for different businesses in terms of satisfying supermarket wines and things like that. So it really can service very many different parts of the wine drinking world. And I was really moved by what the ambassador was saying earlier. When we think about the future, when we think about a wine industry, one does not invest in wine if one does not believe in the future. It takes 3 to 5 years for a vineyard to even be productive. And a vineyard can last 20, 40, 60, or even longer. So when you plant vineyards, you are really showing that you believe in the future of your farm, of your region, and of your country. And for that reason, I think the South African wine industry really does represent a great part of the South African culture, and it belongs as a great part of the celebration of Freedom Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clark, for your talk. And it is a hope and wish that quite soon we will be able to see South African wines available in Chile. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends of South Africa, we have come to the end of our program for today. But before I conclude, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone involved in making this event possible. Congratulations to His Excellency Ambassador Munia Mangeni and the staff at the South African Embassy for organizing this event. Gratitude and appreciation also goes to the Honorable Minister Andres Alamand, Mr. Alejandro Palma, Mrs. Camila Recabaran, and Mr. Jim Clark for their valuable contributions in making this event a success. It would also be remiss of me to thank Mundo Chile for hosting us on their platform and for assisting us with all the arrangements. And finally, and very importantly, I want to thank all our guests that have joined us here in Chile and in South Africa and around the world. Thank you for putting the time aside to celebrate Freedom Day 2021. Finally, I want to remind you that we are still fighting COVID-19, so please stay safe and take care of yourself and your families. We are saying goodbye to you with the song We Will Rise from the internationally acclaimed Ndlovu Youth Choir. Goodbye and stay safe.